Alright, let's talk about dashboards. Building a dashboard seems easy, but building a dashboard that's actually useful is super hard. In fact, I would even say it's one of the hardest things a product designer can do. Hi, I'm Nick, and as a product designer I help startups build better software, and today we will look at why it's actually so hard to build meaningful dashboards, and then also how you can build a dashboard that actually helps the user to take action quickly. So let me give you 3 reasons why it's actually hard to build a good dashboard, and also show you some examples from my real work. Let's start with reason number 1. Without the right research, you're actually just guessing what your users care about, and guessing is always the wrong way. So I'm currently working with this enterprise analytics startup, and they have a lot of data to process, and a lot of good data. But it was really hard to understand which data actually matters to their customers, and how we can show it in a way that is actionable to them. So it took us almost 2 months to get there, but eventually we figured out some data that we can actually show. But it took a lot of user research, a lot of user interviews, back and forth with the customers to understand how we can show it and what's actually required. So if you just assume which numbers your users care about, you're probably wrong. Okay, reason number 2. After we figured out which data to show, we stumbled upon the next problem, which is that there are a lot of different users and user groups, and all need different things. The CEO needs an overview of the last few reports. Financial guy needs an overview if the last invoice is paid. So a lot of data for different people, and getting it right for the right people is really hard. And on top of that, some people open up the app in the morning and they need different things. Sometimes they open it up in the evening, or they open it up monthly, and they need different things. They want to achieve different tasks. And that is where dashboard design is really hard. And the reason number 3 why building a meaningful dashboard is so hard is because there are so many edge cases for charts and for data. So even if you found the right data to show, you will run into many different edge cases. Meaning that depending on the data you have, the chart becomes more or less useful. For instance, you can show 100% growth by a number just changing from 1 to 2. Or another case is if you have hundreds of values from 1 to 5, and then one value that 20,000, and in the chart it looks like this, and yeah, the data becomes less and less meaningful. So even after you figure out what data to show and who to show it to, it's really tricky to show data in the right way in all the edge cases. So does it mean it's impossible to build good dashboards? No, of course not. Here are 3 practical tips to actually build dashboards that matter. So the first practical tip is that you need to get the jobs to be done right. You need to understand which jobs are most important to your users and what they actually need to get done. And this applies to not just your tool, but also outside of it. Let's say you have a financial reporting tool and they need to create a report inside the tool, but then outside of it, they need to present it to their leadership team. And you need to consider both things. So after you did the jobs to be done and you prioritize them, you should get rid of most of them and focus on the top 3 jobs to be done for each user. And those are the metrics and the charts and the KPIs that you can show. Which leads us to tip number 2, only show data that actually helps to complete those jobs. Let me give you an example. Let's say you build a tool for content marketing, and instead of showing vanity metrics like page views over time, your dashboard could show how your last post performed, which posts are getting the most engagement. And next to it, there's actually a button that says write the next post or help me write the next post. Or for an accounting app, you could show a list of unpaid invoices instead of all invoices, because the unpaid ones need some action. So you really need to focus on those things that help the user to take action and get rid of all the other fluff and all the other vanity metrics that you don't need. Another reason why you actually should get rid of all the fluff is because humans can actually only hold 5 to 7 items in their mind at the same time. So if your dashboard shows 20 different things, they can't process it anyways. So keep that in mind when designing dashboards. And tip number 3, consider the context of who is actually logging in and when they are logging in. Think about it. What does a new user want to see if there is 0 data in the dashboard? Or what does a power user need to see every Monday morning when they start their week? What does a founder need to look at 15 seconds before they start a meeting? Same product, same dashboard, but different expectations. If you ignore this, your dashboard will either feel too complex or too empty. So plan for all of these use cases early on in the design process. So next time someone says, can we add a simple dashboard to that? Take a step back, take a breath, and remember everything we just talked about. Because dashboards are not just charts, they are decision-making tools. And if you get them right, your product will feel smarter, faster, and more useful. And your users will thank you for that. So if you like this video, feel free to subscribe and add a comment. Thanks for watching, and I hope I see you in the next one.